As always, we appreciate you joining us in the trenches with Dave Lapham, brought to you by First Star Logistics, and we're coming to you from our unbelievable studios that First Star Logistics provides us. And my first reaction to the 41-24 victory over the Las Vegas Raiders is Victory Monday. Gotta love that. Gotta love that. Finally get a win at Paycor, 1-4. If they had not gotten that victory, they would have not had a home victory until December. That's when the Pittsburgh Steelers come to town, December 1st. Now they've only got one home game, the Pittsburgh Steelers, in the next 7 weeks. They go on the road for a couple of weeks. They have a bye, Pittsburgh, and then a couple more weeks on the road. So this win was big for a lot of reasons. And the Bengals definitely handled the Las Vegas Raiders. I mean, I thought at first, is this going to be a track meet or what? Because these two football teams, for the first time this season in the National Football League, both teams had first drives of 10 plays or more. It hadn't happened all year long in the NFL where both teams started the game off with 10-play drives or more. Bengals had a 13-play drive, 70 yards and a touchdown. Las Vegas, 11 plays for the same. And I thought, man, are we looking at a track meet? Well, no. Bengals defense stepped up. The Bengals continued to pass the baton until about halfway through the third quarter. They had a little lull there that we'll talk about, but then they finished strong and they win the football game. Joe Burrow, two of the last three games on the first drive. The other game was a Charlie Jones 100-yard kickoff return, but in the other two games where the Bengals had the first drive, Joe Burrow, 19 of 20 for 111 yards and 2 touchdowns. Unbelievable. I mean, he is a surgeon. He is precision-like. It's incredible. And of course, now the Cincinnati Bengals, they got to go to Baltimore and face John Harbaugh and the Baltimore Ravens, and then in a short week, and then a long week, travel to California, Los Angeles Chargers, Jim Harbaugh. So you get the Harbaugh boys back-to-back weeks. That's going to be physical football. They believe in establishing the run. They believe in getting physical up front, offensive and defensive lines. So the Cincinnati Bengals, the biggest thing they have to do now on a short week is take care of their bodies. You got to get proper nutrition, get proper rest, because this short week and then travel to Baltimore, it's going to be a challenge. There's no question about that. How about Trey Hendrickson? Trey Hendrickson, he's on pace now for 21 sacks. This is his 15th multi-sack game. He's got 4 of those, 4 multi-sack games this year. 4 sacks in a game for the Cincinnati Bengals. Eddie Edwards and Antoine Odom both had 5. He was within a whisker getting that done. And what did that game, what was the ripple effect of Trey Hendrickson's 4 sacks? They fired their offensive coordinator, their offensive line coach, their quarterback coach. They couldn't figure out, you got to help the left tackle a little bit more. I mean, he was running Mumford over, throwing him around like he was a rag doll. I mean, bull rushing him. Then he got the edge on him. And one time I saw a running back chip, but the chip was just like a little hand check and went out in the route. I mean, they just let that poor left tackle get abused. And Trey Hendrickson took full advantage of it. They lost 2 left tackles during the course of that football game. It was incredible to see. Trey Hendrickson's previous high in a single game was 2.5 sacks for the Cincinnati Bengals. In 2022, he did it against the Jets in Week 3, and 2023 against Arizona. In Week 5, he did it. He's got 11 sacks now. That leads the National Football League at this point in time. 50.5 sacks in 57 games for Trey Hendrickson. Whew. The dude is a force. There's no question. Third time this year, the Cincinnati Bengals have double-dipped, scored at the end of the first half. They scored with like 30-some-odd seconds to play, then come out and score right away in the second half. So that was big in this football game as well. How about Mike Gesicki against Philadelphia, game before this one, 7 catches, 4 of them on third down that led to first down conversions. In this football game, 5 catches for 100 yards, average 20 yards per, 2 receiving touchdowns. I mean, first multiple touchdown game for Mike Gesicki in 4 years. News about injury though, not quite as good. Eric All, ACL, torn ACL. He's out for the season. Unfortunate. I mean, he rehabbed big time coming back from the ACL injury they had at Michigan, and he didn't wasn't really able to take a whole lot of reps in the off season training camp. He was spotty with what he could do. Came back, was playing at a high level. I mean, he is an unbelievable rookie talent at that tight end position, and hopefully, our thoughts and prayers are with him. Obviously, as he's going to have that ACL reconstructed, and hopefully, he comes back stronger than before. T. Higgins was deactivated with a quad injury. I think he'll be able to go. Now he's got, plenty of rest, week and a half now. Actually, he's been out longer than that. Thursday night, I think he makes the dance in Baltimore. Charlie Jones, groin injury. That was a little bit dicey. Hopefully, these extra days by deactivating him will make him available on Thursday night as well. Zach Moss has a neck injury. They're still trying to determine the extent of that neck injury. You don't mess with those. I don't know if he's going to be able to go against Baltimore. And then Orlando Brown, he's got that attachment where the knee and the fibula kind of come together. He's got a little issue at that attachment. It was the first time in his NFL career he was deactivated. And there's no doubt in my mind that Orlando Brown is going to be playing that left tackle position when they go against the Baltimore Ravens. It's going to be a real challenge. Ronnie Stanley is the left tackle, all pro. Trey Hendrickson, all pro rush guy coming off a 4-sack game. I'm going to be watching that matchup, man. That's going to be high theater in Baltimore on Thursday night. I thought a big factor in this football game was avoiding 3rd and long because, I mean, this coaching staff is really good. Antonio Pierce, he's got the influence of Steve Spagnuolo when he was with the New York Giants. So he's got that as part of his DNA. The defense coordinator, Patrick Graham, worked for Bill Belichick with the Patriots for 7 years. He's got Bill Belichick's defensive system. They have got a mountain of looks up front, blitzing linebackers. They'll blitz safeties in the B gap. They do all kinds of things. They'll move their front late in gaps. Bengals did a good job of recognizing and communicating all that. And I thought handling 1st and 2nd down and making it 3rd and makeable was a big deal in the football game. The Bengals went 8 for 15 on 3rd down. The average length of those 3rd downs was 4 yards. That's in the makeable territory right there. They avoided 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9, 3rd and 10 or more. They did a really good job in that area. I thought that was a factor in the outcome of the football game. What can you say about Joe Burrow? Completed his first 15 passes. I mean, this guy is unbelievable. Joe Burrow's statistics on the day. 27 for 39, 251 yards, 5 touchdown passes. Quarterback rating 115.5. 5 touchdown passes to 4 different receivers. He hit 9 different targets. Remember, all these guys are down. Some of these, Charlie Jones, T. Higgins. I mean, he had 4 receivers that were active for the football game. Now, Mike Gesicki, you can argue, is a 6'6" wide receiver. He runs routes and catches the ball like a wide receiver. But, man, Joe Burrow's like, all right, no problem. And then, of course, Germaine Burton was down, a healthy scratch, because, he decided to not do the things that he's supposed to do to be a professional. He's got to mature. He's got to grow up. Missed a practice on Saturday. No phone call, nothing. Can't do that. I mean, you have to take care of business, and he didn't. So they decided to sit him. He was going to be a big part of this game plan. He hurt himself. I mean, if he played in this game, he probably would have had a big day. He probably would have gone off. And as a former player myself, teammates don't like the fact that you win the game 41 to 24, and all they want to talk about is Germaine Burton. What about the win? What about playing well? What about everybody else doing their job? We don't want to talk about Germaine Burton necessarily. It just causes problems that don't need to be caused. So everybody is committed, it sounds like. Zach's committed, Joe Burrow, everybody's saying they're going to try to help this young man mature and grow up in every way that they possibly can, but it's on him. He has to be a pro, not just on the football field, off the football field. Show up on time, where you're supposed to be, when you're supposed to be there, doing what you're supposed to be doing. Hopefully, lesson learned. The Bengals, as it turned out, they hung 41 points on the board, so it wasn't a big issue in terms of missing his production during the course of the football game. But that one's a head scratcher, to say the least. How about Chase Brown? Career high 27 carries, career high 120 yards. He also 5 targets, 5 catches for 37 yards. Career high 57 scrimmage yards. Big day for Chase Brown. 32 touches, though, that's a lot. I mean, now a short week going to Baltimore, a very physical defense. Chase Brown's conditioning is going to be tested, and his recovery program that he's so adamant about and he does such a great job with will be tested as well. Yosivas had another touchdown catch in the red zone. 8 career touchdowns, all in the low red zone, all inside the 10-yard line. The other thing about Chase Brown this year, in the last 6 games, he's got 6 touchdowns, 4 rushing, 2 receiving. He's having a really, really good stretch. There's no question. I mean, his productivity has been off the charts for the Cincinnati Bengals. Logan Wilson, leading tackler in the football game for the Cincinnati Bengals, 9 total tackles. He had not recovered a fumble in his career. I had forgotten about that. He recovered 2 in this football game. And the one recovery he had, he really showed his hands. I mean, the former running back, wide receiver type skill guy, I mean, he showed good hands and showed, good athleticism to pick up that rolling football. That was a big deal for the Cincinnati Bengals as well. So a lot of good things happened in this football game. There's no question about it. Special teams. I mean, offense, defense did their job. So did special teams. What a performance was put on by the 2 punters. I mean, these 2 guys are crazy. It's like not only how far they kick the football, the hang time, the height of their punts is unbelievable. Rico almost had a 64-yard net punt or a 63-yard. He punted at 64 yards. It goes out of bounds. Bengals thought, at the 1-foot line, officials ruled it was a touchback, that the ball rolled to the extended goal line, basically, and they gave him a touchback. But, man, what a punt. Unbelievable how this guy can hang the football up. He is going to be – he's a long-term guy, and he's a long-term star. There's no question about that. Field position is something that special teams is a big factor in. Not only special teams, but how about Logan Wilson's 2 fumble recoveries? They were the big deal. They set gave the Cincinnati Bengals, I should say, unbelievably good field position, short fields. One, he returns to the 21-yard line, short field. Bengals score a touchdown. The other one, they recover at the 13-yard line and settle for a field goal, but they get points out of both of those turnovers on short fields. Bottom line is the average drive start for the Bengals was their 33-yard line. Las Vegas Raiders was their 29. Just kept kicking the ball off after scoring touchdowns and getting touchbacks, getting the ball at the 30-yard line over and over and over again. But 12 possessions in the football game, you multiply it out. The hidden yards, they won that battle again, just like Darren Simmons likes to do. Talked about the lull that the Bengals had halfway through the third quarter. I mean, they score on every possession. 3 possessions is all they had. They only had 1 possession in the first quarter, 3 in the second, but one of them was a kneel down. 1 play for -1 yard. I don't even count that as a possession, obviously. They scored 2 touchdowns and a field goal. They come out to start the second half, touchdown. And then they go into the lull. They 3 and out. They punt after 6 plays for 6 yards. Pick 6 interception on the third possession and another 3 and out. So 4 possessions halfway through the third quarter into the beginning of the fourth quarter, 2 in the third, 2 in the fourth, 14 plays, 33 yards, no points, obviously. Defense scored on a pick 6. So that was what Joe Burrow was upset about. He's not satisfied throwing 5 touchdown passes. This guy is looking to be perfect. I mean, he is chasing perfection, and he is persistent about it, and it's contagious with his teammates. Joe got up after the game in the locker room, along with Trey Hendrickson and others, and said, "Look, it's a good win, but now we have to take care of business in terms of here on this short week. No celebration tonight, guys. We're not going out for steak dinners. We're not going to go out to have some beers together or whatever. Let's go home, get rest, get to bed, take care of your body. It starts right now. The rest, eat well, get some sleep. Do your rehab, whatever you have to get done, because the Baltimore Ravens are real. How about Lamar Jackson coming off a perfect quarterback rating? Ridiculous. I mean, this guy, he's having an MVP season. There's no question. Looking at some of the numbers, the updated numbers for the Baltimore Ravens. Henry's already rushed for over 1,000 yards, 1,052 yards, averaging 6.3 per carry. The Bengals had him to under right around 3 yards a carry until he popped that 51-yarder here in Cincinnati, and in that instant classic. That football game was amazing. Almost had 1,000 yards offense between the two teams, and what was it? 69 points. I mean, unbelievable football game by both parties in that game. Typical Ravens, though. They're number one in the National Football League in yards per game at 446. They're averaging 7.1 yards per play. That leads the NFL. They're rushing the ball for almost 192 yards a game, leads the NFL. They're averaging 5.9 a carry, which leads the NFL. And the only thing the defense is doing well, the defense is getting shredded. The only thing they're doing well is stopping the run. They're allowing less than 76 yards a game, leads the National Football League. They're only giving up 3.4 yards a carry, leads the National Football League. They have a rushing yardage differential to their favor on a game-by-game basis of 116 plus yards. I mean, they are crushing people on the ground and shutting people down. So that's the first thing you have to do is control the 1-2 punch of Jackson and Henry on the ground. But then you look at Jackson's numbers after that perfect outing last week. His quarterback rating for the season, 120.7. 20 touchdown passes, only 2 interceptions. Joe Burrow has 20 touchdown passes as well, but he's got 4 interceptions. Joe Burrow's completed over 70% of his passes. Lamar Jackson's at 68%. I mean, this is going to be a show. These two quarterbacks, they do it differently, but they do it well for their respective football teams. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch this football game once again. Joe Burrow, 20 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. He's thrown for over 2,200 yards. His quarterback rating for the season is over 108. And in the first matchup, both of these quarterbacks put on a big-time show. There's no question about that. Let's see. Jackson, a quarterback rating 119.9, 26 for 42, 348 yards, 4 touchdowns, no picks. Joe Burrow, 30 for 39, 392 yards, 5 touchdowns, 1 interception. Quarterback rating of 137. Unbelievable. Ja'Marr Chase had the big game. Targeted 12 times, 10 catches, 193 yards in the game here in Cincinnati. He had the 70-yard touchdown pass. He had another one of over 40 yards. By the way, the 47-yard touchdown pass that Gesicki had was the only play the Raiders have given up this year of over 40 yards. And it was interesting because, the pick six was one of those screens to Ja'Marr Chase that the Raiders read very, very quickly. Downhill come the backs, the defensive backs, not able to block them. Pick six. So what do? They say, okay, if you're going to be that, that greedy about making a quick read coming downhill, I'm going to pump fake that wide receiver screen. Gesicki takes off down the middle of the field from the slot. Nobody covers him. 2 guys jump the Ja'Marr Chase on the receiver screen. Gesicki's wide open, 46-yard stroll to the end zone. That's the only play the Raiders' defense has given up of over 40 yards this season. So it's going to be a typical battle. There's no question. AFC North dogfight in Baltimore. And we know how good the Baltimore Ravens roster is. They have Pro Bowlers at every position group. Ronnie Stanley and Linderbaum in the offensive line, the left tackle in the center. Zay Flowers is playing as well as any receiver in the National Football League right now. Mark Andrews, Pro Bowl tight end. He's starting to get back into a rhythm with Lamar Jackson. You got Lamar as a Pro Bowler. Patrick Ricard, the 200 or 300-pound fullback / tight end / whatever. He's a Pro Bowler. Derrick Henry, Pro Bowler. They have a defensive tackle, basically defensive end in their scheme. That's a Pro Bowler. They've got Roquan Smith, Pro Bowl linebacker. Kyle Hamilton at safety. Marlon Humphrey at corner. I mean, it's ridiculous. And Stout, their punter. And then, of course, Justin Tucker, Pro Bowl kicker, maybe the best that's ever kicked in the National Football League. This game is going to be a battle royale. And I'm not sure that it's going to go overtime like the last game they played that was the instant classic. But I think there's going to be a little bit better defense played by both football teams. Thursday, short week, very tough, hard for the players. The good news is these two football teams know each other well. I mean, it's not like you're preparing on a short week for a team you face every 8 years. You face these guys twice a year. You just played them very recently in a great football game. It was offensive oriented. Maybe this one will be more defensive oriented. I don't know, but it's going to be a battle. It's going to be a battle. And the other thing is, you're on the road and you're in a hostile environment that is extremely noisy. They were doing a great job of communicating. Like I said, when the defensive line was moving into different gaps, offensive line recognizing, communicating. It's going to be harder to do in Baltimore. You're going to have to use hand signals. You're going to have to be creative how you communicate, because that crowd base is rabid and it is loud. If the Cincinnati Bengals can pull this off, get back to 500, then go to the play the Chargers out on the West Coast and go into the bye week with a 6-5 record, still got a chance, still got a shot with 6 games to play. This one is huge. You lost to them at home in Cincinnati in a barn burner. Got to turn the tables on them in Baltimore. No two ways about it.
Dave Lapham here, and every day I am grateful for my experience to have played professional football. As a player, I realized self-motivation, leadership, and appreciating your teammates are key. At First Star Logistics, you can use those same attributes to create the life you want for you and your family. Build your future by working hard like I did. You'll see results both on and off the field. Call First Star Logistics today and be part of our winning team.
Opportunity knocking.